Hi folks. So I thought I'd put a video up here because I don't see very many of them on YouTube addressing this particular issue. But behind me I have my 2014 Mustang GT, and I've only had it about 8 months, but people, just being the way they are, tend to not care when they walk by, and then they leave scratches. And I got a couple of particularly deep scratches that I've touched up with regular touch-up paint, as many people often do, but it leaves this kind of big glob, and a lot of times it just looks like a big scar. It looks worse than a scratch sometimes, but it protects the paint. But today I just thought I'd show you a little bit of how to get rid of that big scar on it. So just as a side note, most of the scratches that got on it was because somebody with jeans decided to lean against it, and those little rivets in the back of some of those jeans end up leaving big scratches, especially the ones that women like to wear that's got all the rhinestones and all that kind of stuff on them. So don't let anybody lean against your car or sit on your car, especially if they have those sort of jeans. So anyways, so we'll go out here, and there are a couple tools that you're going to need. Nothing that you can't make. Actually, I'll show you just exactly how we make them. So anyways, this particular issue. But behind me I have my 2014 Mustang GT, and I've only had it about 8 months, but people, just being the way they are, tend to not care when they walk by, and then they leave scratches. And I got a couple of particularly deep scratches that I've touched up with regular touch-up paint, as many people often do, but it leaves this kind of big glob, and a lot of times it just looks like a big scar. It looks worse than a scratch sometimes, but it protects the paint. But today I just thought I'd show you a little bit of how to get rid of that big scar on it. So just as a side note, most of the scratches that got on it was because somebody with jeans decided to lean against it, and those little rivets in the back of some of those jeans end up leaving big scratches, especially the ones that women like to wear that's got all the rhinestones and all that kind of stuff on them. So don't let anybody lean against your car or sit on your car, especially if they have those sort of jeans. So anyways, so we'll go out here, and there are a couple tools that you're going to need. Nothing that you can't make. Actually, I'll show you just exactly how we make them. So anyways, stay tuned. All right, folks, so the things that you're going to need are, you're going to need a razor blade. So if you're only doing a couple scratches, you're really only going to need one. So we've got one razor blade. We'll put the rest of those away. What else are you going to need? You're going to need a flat surface. So I just found this old piece of metal laying around the shop because I couldn't find my regular board. I have actually a smooth glass cutting board that I usually do this on, but I couldn't find it. But this will work just as well. You want something that's smooth. So if you try to use like the table of workshop, it's all uneven, and I'll explain why that's not going to be good here in just a second. And then also you're going to need some sandpaper. So the first thing you're going to need is some 1000 grit, and you're going to need that in a couple different applications here. And then finally you're going to need some 1500. And then, depending on what you're actually buffing that end result out with, you might even need 2000 just to step it down. So, anyways, the first tool that we need to get rid of those big ugly scars is we're going to have to prep our razor blade. So, just have a regular razor blade here. And then, what you have to do is you take it on your flat surface with your 1000 grit, and you put it up kind of at an angle, like so, and you just slide it across. And you bring it up and slide it across at about a 45. And you do that, I don't know, 7, 8 times or so. And then what you're doing is the sharp edge on it, instead of just going straight across, you want that edge to actually kind of bow over. Once you have that drug across, then what you want to do is you want to bend it a little bit. So just put your thumb in the middle, and you just kind of bend it until it's just like so. So I know my camera's not the best, so and just like that. So that allows you, now the edge is bending forward and then you also have that vent there. So when you go along and scrape it across the scratch, or that excess from the scratch repair that you put on, you can actually sit there and shave off all that excess. Because if you were to just try to sand it down, all the areas around the scratch get sanded too, and you take a big risk of burning through the paint everywhere around, and then you still have a high spot where the scratch is. So you need something like this to be able to scratch off all that extra material and then come in and level it off with your sandpaper. So that's all we need. Now let's go back to the car and let's see exactly how we do it. All right, guys, now that we've kind of gone through how to make all the specialty stuff that we need with the razor blade and whatnot, let's just go through a complete list of tools so we know everything that we're going to need, so we're not running back and forth. If you got to go to the store to get some of this stuff, you know exactly what you're going to need, and you can just go get it all at once. So let's go through everything that we're going to need. So our razor blade that we made, so we're going to need that. Okay, so we got that. Need a microfiber towel. So everybody in the automotive community always goes on and on and on about microfiber towels are the only thing to use. Well, it's for a good reason, because especially when you're doing paint work, especially when you're doing this sort of thing, you don't want to scratch everything up. The whole purpose is to make that scratch look better, and if you use some old crappy terry cloth or some old shop rag or something like that, it'll leave scratches in there. Trust me, it'll leave swirls and all kinds of stuff. So I know eventually it'll get swirled up, especially on a black car like mine, but just do it right. Get a microfiber towel. You go to O'Reilly and you buy a whole pack of these for like $6, so don't skimp. So, microfiber towel, we got our razor blade, then we got our sandpaper, like we said before. So 1000 grit, need some 1000 grit. I really like 3M stuff. There's other brands. Try not to go to like Harbor Freight, or Harbor Freight type of quality. It just doesn't work as well. So stick with some of the better brands. You can't go wrong with 3M. 3M makes some amazing stuff. So we got 1000 grit, and then 1500 grit. You see, I've just been using this here a little bit. So 1500 grit, and then it's a good idea to step it down with 2000 as well, if since we're working on clear coat only. And we're not putting anything over it, so we're just going to buff all this out, all the scratches that we make. So step it down to some 2000. I have a new sheet of 1500 that I'm going to use, and then if you really think about it, sandpaper only lasts a certain amount of time, and then you have to throw it away because it wears down. Now this better quality sandpaper here for this wet dry stuff, as it wears down, the grit actually kind of goes down as well. So instead of using a brand new sheet of 2000, I have this piece of 1500 that I use pretty extensively on a 68 Mustang out there. So it's actually stepped down to probably pretty close to 2000. So and on the other side it worked just well. There's no scratches that showed through. So either get some 2000, or if you have some like 1500 laying around that you've used quite a bit, then I'd say it's probably okay to use that. So anyways, so you need those 3 different grades of sandpaper, and then you need a sanding block. So please, 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 please don't use your fingers. So just with our microfiber towel, our aim is to do this right, and for it to look good. The whole reason why we're doing it is because it doesn't look good the way it's at. So get a sanding block. If you try to do it with your fingers, then the actual grooves where your fingers are, it'll leave little depressions there. Now, a lot of people may say it's silly if you're only doing light sanding, blah, blah, blah. It will. And especially if you're going in different directions, it'll look lumpy. Especially if you're a little heavy-handed, it can go lumpy. So it's just a good idea to get a sanding block. Now these you can get at like Napa, O'Reilly. These are some of the best sanding blocks that I think you can get. Of course you can spend just crazy money and get some stuff that makes you feel pretty inside, but these do a really, really good job, and really you can buy them individually and they're not very much money, $4, $5, $6 a piece. So I like this little guy for what I'm doing, but you can get longer and shorter, different shapes. You can get round ones, all sorts of different stuff. So, and if you're really hard up, you can just make one. So get a piece of wood and make sure that you sanded it down flat. It's not ideal, because these are a little spongy, and they work around contours a little better, and you can actually bend them and all sorts of things. But if that's all you have, then it's better than using it with your hands. So, and just be careful with it. So, sanding block. And then, next thing you need is a little squirt bottle. This is from the dollar store, just a little dollar squirt bottle. And then it needs to be filled with soapy water. And then how much soap to water? Well, there's no precise measurement on what to do, but I like a little bit more soap than a little less. So you just put a dab of soap in there and some water, and away you go for your wet sanding. So then we have our actual polishing compound. So the first one that I go with, I really like the Meguiar's compound. So and I use the medium cut cleaner. Really, they make some more aggressive stuff and some less aggressive stuff. I like to start with this. It does a really good job of getting that 1500 to 2000 grit marks out of your paint. So you go over it a couple times and buff it with this, and usually gets most of them out. And then next is I come back with the machine glaze and go over it. Usually I have to go over it 2 or 3 times, and then it gets everything else out, so it gets it nice and shiny like it's supposed to. So, and then for small spots, I like to use these little buffing pads that you can put in a drill, and you can actually get these from Harbor Freight. So I have big buffers, I have a DA buffer, but they do such a large area, and when you're doing a little scratch, it's nice that you can just get a drill out and you can put these little pads on. Obviously this one's kind of worn out, but usually when you go to get there, they'll give you 2 pads, and this one's a little dirty because I use the medium cut cleaner with it, which is a darker compound, and it just stains the pad. But and it's not really that dirty, it's just the compound that's in there. But they come with a little Velcro back, and you can take it on and off. Now, important that you have 2 of these. Use both of them. So use one only for the harsher medium cut stuff, and then use one of them for the machine glaze. So this will take out scratches, but it'll be dull when it's left out because it cuts a little deeper, and this stuff is made to bring that shine back. So if you use a pad for both of them, then you still have a little bit of this in there, and you're never going to get the shine that you would if you only used a pad with this machine glaze on it. So really important. You have 2 of them, use both of them. These are only like $8. So they're not expensive if you need to replace them. Plus these last for a long time. I've had these for over a year, and buffed quite a bit with them. So yeah, that's all the stuff we need. Now let's go to the car and let's actually do this thing. All right, folks, so here we are at the car, obviously, and here is the spot on this side, which you can see is this big old scar where I touched it up. It goes all the way down, and you can see somebody leaned up against it and then slid across. And so in this application, I live in Western Washington, and at the time I had, like, it was one of those times where there's like 4 hours of sunlight in the day. So, and I just needed to get it done. So, anyways, that's how it ended up. Now, what we do is, usually if you have a smaller scratch, you want to take your razor blade and go the full length of the scratch. Now, this scratch is a little bit big to be doing that. So if you were to do that, you can't actually rest your arm and be steady. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably take it in 3 different sections. So when you want to take the curved side of your blade and you want to face it down where the biggest curve is, and now you don't want to be heavy-handed with this. You don't want to just really start ripping material off. You want to just place it on there, just a little bit of pressure, and just kind of move it across. So while it's breaking that first layer, not much is going to come off, but as you move across, it's going to start taking that top layer of all that goopy, nasty touch-up paint that you got on there. And you can see all that material coming off. And you do that, and you be careful that you're not getting up here on something that doesn't need it. You don't want to take clear off here. You just want to take all the extra off that is up here on the scratch. So you just keep going, and now this is a patience thing. The more patience you have, and the more attention to detail that you can give it, the better it's going to turn out. And that's the whole reason why we're doing it. It's just going nice and slow. And you can see how much material we've already taken off there. Now it looks like we've just scratched it up more, which I guess kind of we did. But by the time that we step that down with sandpaper and everything, then you're barely going to be able to see it. So anyways, I'll shut the camera off here a little bit and I'll do the rest of it and I'll turn it back on when I'm done. Alright, so now I'm done with the razor blade. So you see, looks awful with it all scratched off the razor blade, but you need to rub your finger across it. It's actually getting pretty smooth. Oop, just about dropped my bottle. So next step is the wet sand. So I've got my wet sandpaper here, and it has been soaking in soapy water, which is important. You want to soak it in water for a good 5-10 minutes, if not more. If you get a lot more time, it's fine, and it's actually better. And then with your spray bottle, I like to spray down the panel here just a little bit too. I'll put a little bit more on my sandpaper. It'll get all wet, but it's all right. So where the scratch is at, you want to kind of just start right where, oh, sorry about that, right where the actual scratch is, and you want to work that with your 1000 grit first to try to get that down even just a little more, and work that entire scratch all the way down. Careful of the body line, and then you want to work in just kind of back and forth. Don't swirl, so you want to go up, then you want to go the other way. Make this kind of crosshatch type of pattern here. So, and then once it gets dry, you come back with your water, you spray it down a little more, spray your pad down, make sure everything's good and wet and lubricated. So, and just keep working that, just be real gentle and slow. So, and this is the part, if you haven't done this before, you want to be super, super careful, because even with 1000 grit, you press too hard or you do it too long, you're going to burn through the paint, or burn through the clear that's already there. That's the last thing you want to do, because then you're looking at big repair, big time trying to get that repair. So we'll come back here, grab our microfiber cloth, and wipe it down and see kind of what we got. So you can see we're getting it down, but we want to kind of get those low spots just a little bit more in there, if my camera will focus. So we'll keep working on it, and then you'll come back and you'll do the exact same thing with 1500. The only difference is when you step it out, you want to come out just a little bit further, okay, so we can have a nice feathered edge on here. So we'll continue working this with 1000 until we get it relatively smooth. So a repair like this, it's not going to be invisible. So the only way you're going to get an invisible scratch repair is if you take it all down, put filler in it, build it up with paint and primer, and then repaint the entire fender. So we're not going for factory, but we're looking for nobody's going to notice it but you. So anyways, I'll continue with the 1000 grit and then step it out with the 1500, and then I'll show you our final product right before we buff. So alright, so what we're looking for here with once we're done with our 1000 grit, you can see there's still a few low spots, but boy, there's not too many hard edges. You see in some places it's, you know, almost gone. So that's about what we're looking for. Now it looks bad, especially through the video, but I promise you we'll be able to buff it all out. So in these little places that's left, don't try to get it all with 1000 grit, because remember we're coming back over it with 1500 as well. So when that's going to take a little bit of that down as well. So anyways, we'll continue with 1500 grit, but we'll go out just you know, just a little bit, maybe a half inch, a quarter inch on each side, just so we can kind of feather that edge out, and then we'll get all those 1000 grit scratches out. And now 1500 doesn't take long to get all those 1000 grit scratches out, so don't be too heavy-handed with it and damage your paint. So here we go. Alright, on to our next step. So I stepped out, and I used that 1500, that worn 1500 or 2000 grit, stepped it out just a little bit further, and we're just about where we want to see it, or where I want to see it anyways. if I go any farther, I'm afraid I'm going to damage the paint here. And once we get it all buffed out, it'll look a lot better too. So I have my drill with my pad on it, and I actually put a little bit of our medium cut on there. This stuff goes a long ways, especially the medium cut, so you don't need a lot in there, and I like to pour it just directly onto the pad. And then what we do is, switch hands, is we just put it directly onto the area that needs work, and we turn it on and we constantly keep it moving. So don't try to go super quick. You need to keep moving around, else you'll burn through, especially on body lines. But don't just rev the motor out and get the drill spinning as fast as you can either. So I'll continue doing this with both hands so I don't destroy my car's paint. And I'll show you the end results of this particular step. Okay, so ended up buffing it with 2 hands, and just a disclaimer, this stuff gets everywhere. So, and specifically if you have a Mustang and you have louvers on it, just take them off. They're such a pain to clean off. But anyways, so let's wipe it down here and let's see what we ended off. Oh, and this stuff too, if you're like, oh, I'll just get all that stuff that sprayed everywhere off later, don't do it now. It's so hard to get off after the fact. So let's wipe down our area. And just with our first stage of buffing, look at that, boy. Here, looking through the camera, you barely may be able to see it. So right there, and a lot of that's going to come out as well when we buff it again. But boy, you step back a foot, can't even see it. So I'll buff it again once more with the medium cut stuff right here. Once more with this, and then we'll switch pads to this little pad up here, and then we'll go over it until you don't need to anymore. So sometimes it takes 2 times, sometimes it takes 5. It just depends. Yeah, let me buff it out here a little bit more, and I'll show you the end result. Alright guys, so finished up with the rougher cutting compound, and then only took 2 times with the machine glaze of the lighter duty stuff, and here's what we ended up with. So yep, same car, same place, so you find a scratch. So it turned out better than most. I tell you what, I'm beyond happy with how it turns out. So some turn out that well, some of them don't. Just depends. So yeah, I'd call that a success. But you know, anyways, if you choose to do this, then good luck to you. If you have the patience, then it can turn out really good. So thanks for watching.